Look in your bathroom right now, and you will find an item you likely use multiple times a day. Yet this highly engineered, standardized roll of paper has only existed for 140 years. For most of human history, humanity had to find other ways to handle its messiest problem. In ancient Rome, public bathrooms featured a tool called a tersorium. It was a shared sponge attached to a stick, which users rinsed in a channel of salt water before passing it to the next person. Other cultures relied on whatever local resources were available. People in the coastal regions of ancient Greece used broken pieces of pottery and shells. Hundreds of years later, rural Americans were relying on discarded corn cobs. This scattered, localized approach to hygiene existed because the world lacked centralized indoor plumbing. There was simply no standardized system for managing human waste. Using a corn cob or a piece of moss worked fine for small, dispersed rural populations. But as people began packing into dense, tightly cramped settlements, this total lack of organized sanitation created a baseline of filth that would soon threaten the survival of entire populations. There was one major exception. By the 14th century, the Chinese imperial court had recognized the utility of paper for bathroom purposes, mass-producing over 700,000 sheets a year for royal use. Meanwhile, European populations were entirely dependent on old rags, moss, and loose plant material. The divide came down to economics. Early European paper manufacturing was incredibly expensive. A sheet of paper was a highly valuable commodity, making it far too precious to be used once and thrown in a latrine. Without an affordable hygiene product, a person's sanitation depended entirely on their wealth and the leaves growing in their immediate vicinity. Global civilization was completely unprepared for the explosion of dense urban living. As the Industrial Revolution accelerated in the 1800s, millions of people crowded into rapidly expanding cities. Without a unified system to handle the sudden influx of human waste, overflowing cesspools backed up, and raw sewage flooded the streets. That waste quickly seeped into the drinking water supply. Dysentery spread rapidly, and massive cholera outbreaks ripped through the population, killing tens of thousands of people and wiping out entire neighborhoods. Society did not fully understand germ theory yet, but they knew the conditions were lethal. Municipal authorities issued frantic public health warnings as they struggled to contain a disease that was actively destroying their cities from the inside out. To keep these urban centers from collapsing, engineers designed massive underground sewer networks connected to a new invention, the indoor flush toilet. These new systems successfully removed visible waste from the streets, but they introduced a severe mechanical vulnerability underground. The narrow pipes required a compatible, easily flushed cleaning material, and society did not have one. In 1857, an American named Joseph Gayetty tried to solve the bathroom paper problem by introducing flat, medicated sheets infused with aloe. In a bold marketing choice, he printed his own name on every single sheet. Gayetty's product failed to reach mass popularity. Consumers ignored his medicated sheets because they had a free, thick supply of paper arriving in the mail, the Sears robot catalog. The catalog became so widely used as unofficial bathroom material that families would intentionally punch a hole in the corner of the book, allowing them to hang it on a nail right next to the latrine. But as modern plumbing spread into these homes, the improvised methods became destructive. Rags, corn cobs, and heavy, rigid catalog pages severely jammed the new pipes, completely breaking the flushing systems. By the late 19th century, companies like APW began selling toilet paper on a perforated roll, heavily marketing it as a household necessity. Its true value was mechanical. It met the specific constraints of the new plumbing infrastructure. Early manufacturing was rough. The production process remained largely unrefined, and consumers frequently dealt with wood splinters in their toilet paper, an issue that wasn't fully resolved until the 1930s. The massive commercial success of the toilet paper roll came down to strict engineering necessity. Rags and leaves caused blockages. The roll survived because it was the only material that dissolved fast enough to keep a city's plumbing from failing. Looking at this photograph of a modern tiled bathroom, you are actually looking at a vital terminal connected to a vast, invisible sanitation network. As this animation shows, dissolvable toilet paper acts as a mandatory piece of this infrastructure. When rigid items like rags or thick paper enter the pipe, they catch on the curves and form hard, impenetrable blockages. Toilet paper is engineered for rapid chemical breakdown, instantly dissolving into small particles that pass easily through tight residential plumbing. That rapid breakdown maintains a smooth flow, ensuring that human waste safely leaves residential areas and travels through the wider municipal grid to treatment plants, rather than backing up into homes. This combination of clean running water, functional sewage systems, and dissolvable toilet paper dramatically increased human life expectancy. Together, they quietly stabilized the constant threat of urban disease. When global lockdowns began in the early days of 2020, this essential item vanished. Within days, store shelves across countries and continents were entirely stripped of toilet paper. People did not hoard it because it was a medical cure. Toilet paper is highly visible, it is incredibly bulky, and serves an immediate daily need. During a period of terrifying uncertainty and fragile supply chains, buying it represented a desperate grasp for control over basic human dignity. The sudden shortage exposed a vulnerability in modern life. Society maintains a total invisible dependence on massive logistical systems, paper mills, long-haul transportation, and retail networks that must operate flawlessly in the background to keep cities stocked. Ancient humans relied on makeshift, sometimes dangerous tools in open spaces and shared latrines.
Today, citizens depend entirely on a highly engineered paper product to safely maintain personal and public health. A roll of toilet paper is a quiet, essential monument to civilization's ability to survive its own growth. Next time, we will explore the strange and surprisingly dramatic history of the toilet itself. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind this everyday object, hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what everyday item we should investigate next.